So a lot of people have been going up to me and asking me, DifferentFight, I've got my first regionals coming up and I don't know, what should I prepare, what should I know, how should I play, and all those kind of questions. So I thought, instead of answering all those questions privately, why don't I just make a series that prepares everybody for Worlds? So this, guys, is my brand new series, Road to Worlds 2015. So going into this series, I'm going to assume that you know the basic rules of Vanguard, if not more, which is always better. And basically, I'm going to help you decide on what you might want to play if you're not decided yet, on how to prepare, what to know, what's really key to know before such a big event, and just prepare you as much as possible with all my experience. And also to those at New York, I'm sorry, because their regional was already last week. So I feel sorry, but this is the earliest that I could get this done, so sorry New York. Talking about some of my personal experience, I've been to a lot of Worlds qualifiers. I went to Paris in 2012 and I placed top 16, and then in 2013 I was in Team League. We won a shop qualifier and then took third place in the German regional. And then in 2014 in Paris I went 5-1 in the French regionals for Worlds, and well, in top 16 basically. And then yeah, now it's 2015 and I'm here to help you guys as well, and also myself. So let's go. So the first episode is going to be going over the key terms that a lot of players use that I feel some of the players that don't go to locals and don't have that much player experience might not know. A lot of these are fan-made terms that I feel that some people just might not have been exposed to, especially new players. Like when I teach somebody that's new, and even if they've played for a few months, they still don't really know those terms, I feel, when somebody else mentions them. So we're going to go over them, I'm going to give you examples, and yeah. But first off, I'm going to go over some of the terms that you should already know, which are ride, call, boost, intercept, guard, soul blast, soul charge, counterblast. Those are the key terms that are really in the rules. Like even if you've only watched the first episodes of the anime, you should know those rules because it's the very key basics of the game, and if you're planning to go to regionals, you should already know those. However, there are 4 other terms that sort of developed as the game went on, but some people might know them, but I feel that you should look them up if you don't know. These are break ride, legion, limit break, stride, and generation break. These are all that are part of the game. They're not fan-made terms, so I feel that going into regionals you should know them, and if you don't know, there are a lot of definitions up if you just Google them. And yeah, like these are really part of the game, and if you watch the anime you should know them. So I'm gonna be basically talking about the fan-made terms that you people might not know just yet. One of the most common ones is, well, we have the sentinel cards, which are the perfect shields. But the thing is that it's written sentinel on the card, but nobody really says sentinel when they place it. If you don't know what a sentinel is, it's these grade 1s with 6k power that have the golden kind of shield symbol, which means that they reduce the damage completely, it nullifies the attack basically. So there are a lot of fan terms for these, which are PG, which stands for perfect guard, null guard, which is nullifying guard, ab shield, which is absolute shield, kanga, which is the Japanese way of saying kanzengado, but I have seen some people in regionals use that term. There are some more, but I feel like PG, perfect guard, is like the most common term that people use for the sentinels. So I feel that you should know that because, well, after all, it's a very important part of the game. So, but I think most people do know that one, even though it has some fan-made terms. The 2 that really stuck out to me when I was thinking about this list were the Silent Tom skill and the Glory skill. So a lot of people will say, oh, Sinbuster has the Glory skill. Oh, Prominence Glare has the Glory skill. And I've had some people go like, what's a Glory skill? Like, come on, what's a Glory skill? And basically a Glory skill is, it comes from Glory Maelstrom. If you don't know Glory Maelstrom, he's an Aqua Force, grade 3 with 11k power, is a cross stride of the original Maelstrom. And his skill is Limit Break 5. When he attacks, you can counterblast 1, and your opponent can only call grade 0 cards to guard with. So a lot of cards have had this ability now, like Sinbuster has the ability that when his attack is 30 or more, your opponent can only call grade 0s to guard with from their hand. But a lot of people call this the Glory skill, so if you hear anybody referred to as the Glory skill, then you'll know what they're talking about. Next up is the Silent Tom skill, and this is as simple as it sounds. It comes from Silent Tom. Silent Tom is one of the main cards in Oracle Think Tank, is an 8k grade 2, and his skill is, when he attacks, you cannot call grade 0 cards from hand to guard with. So basically you can only guard with grade 1s or above. So there are some cards, like Ragnar Clock Dragon, that have been coming back recently, and we just call them Silent Tom skills. Like that card has a Silent Tom skill, and that's it. And that means that you cannot guard with grade zeros. That's it. So that's what a Silent Tom skill is. Moving on, we have two that really come together, which is Persona Blasting and G Persona Blasting. So Persona Blasting means that when there's a card, like Dragonic Overlord The End, that requires you to drop a card that is the exact same as that card. So for Dragonic Overlord The End skill, you have to drop an identical copy to activate the skill. G Persona is what a lot of strides have nowadays, especially the triple rare ones, which is where, in order to activate their skill, you have to flip the same G unit face up. That's what a G Persona is. Some people call it that, some people don't call it anything. They just say skill, flip it face up, and that's it. Another type of term that people use for units in general is Amber Clone. I use this a lot. What an Amber Clone is, well, there was this one grade 2 card in the Gear Chronicle trial deck, which is called Amber. Its skill, it doesn't matter what its skill is, it's the way that you pay the skill. It's a GB1, you have to be boosted, and you have to be attacking the Vanguard, and it costs counterblast 1. Any card that has these 4 things is called an Amber Clone. So things like Grand Fire, that's an Amber Clone. Anything that has to be boosted is GB1, counterblast 1, and has to attack the Vanguard is an Amber Clone. Remember that, because every client is getting them right now, and everybody just calls them Amber Clones from what I've heard. There's also the way of, like, what people say when they guard: 1 to pass, 2 to pass, 3 to pass, no pass. Like, that's basically all. There's no 4 to pass because we never check 4 triggers. But what it basically means is how many triggers you need to put on the Vanguard in order to pass through the blocking. So if your opponent, you're attacking with 11k, and your opponent is also 11k, and he puts down a 10k shield, he says 2 to pass. That means you're gonna have to put 2 triggers on your Vanguard to pass through that attack. A lot of people say this. I've even seen people who have snapbacks that say 2 to pass, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, that's basically what that means. No pass just means no matter how many triggers you put on the Vanguard, it's not gonna pass. So, you know, it's a way so that, like, you say it so your opponent doesn't have to count your Guardians, and then, you know, it makes life easier. Another generic fan term that isn't too popular just yet, but I've heard it from some people, is Break Stride. What this is that there's some grade 3s, like Susano from Oracle Think Tank, that have a skill that when you stride on top of that grade 3. So for example, you stride on top of it, you counterblast 1, look at top 2, put 1 on the bottom of the deck and put 1 into your hand, right? So those skills only happen when you stride on top of a grade 3. So while Break Riding is when you ride on top of a grade 3, Break Stride is when you stride on top of a grade 3. It's pretty self-explanatory. I haven't heard too many people use it yet, but I like using it as well myself. I think it sounds pretty good. So yeah, that's Break Stride. Moving on, we have Restanders or self-standing Vanguards. These are things like Dragonic Overlord The End, the Blau series, like mostly all grade 3s, like so many cards in the game actually, like Minerva, and just so many cards. Like I'm just quickly trying to name some off the top of my head that I can think of, but self-standing Vanguards have been a thing in the game since set 4. Set 4, yeah. If not earlier actually, but I'm pretty sure it was set 4. The self-standing Vanguards are just like the grade 3 that's on the Vanguard circle that has a skill that lets it stand again. So these are things like Raging Form and The End, like I already listed them. But these are just cards that they have a skill which lets them restand. Everybody just calls them Restanders or self-standing Vanguards. So if you ever join discussion, people are talking about them, but they're not really being specific about a unit. They're like, oh, self-standing Vanguards are a crime to the game. Like, you'll understand what they're talking about. Moving on, we have some terms that are quite exclusive to some clans, I would say. The first of them is Lock, and I feel this is part of the rules. I may be mistaken, I'm pretty sure it's part of the rules, but Lock, some people still don't understand Lock, because Link Chirp is kind of like, it's in the meta, then it's out of the meta, so it kind of just bounces around, you don't really know. But basically how Lock works is that when your unit gets locked, you just turn it face down. And then you cannot call anything on top of that, you cannot do anything with that circle. It just like avoid taking up that rearguard circle. Yeah, that's Lock. And then at the end of your turn, your locked units unlock, unless it's an Omega Lock, which is our next turn. Omega Lock means that your locked cards do not unlock on the end of this turn, but rather the next turn that you have. So basically they just stay locked for 1 extra turn. That's what Omega Lock is. And like we see, there's Big Crunch Dragon that just came out that Omega Locks an entire column. So some people might not know that term, so there you have it. There's one other term that some people use because it came from the anime, which is World End. This is only applicable to Glendios, which means that it's the Limit Break 5 of Glendios, where if your opponent has 5 locked units at the start of your turn, you win the game. That's what world end is. I haven't heard many people use it. They just say, okay, GG, and you shake hands. That's it. Finally, we have the two megac-only terms, which are paralyze and giga-paralyze. Paralyze means that one of your units, either Vanguard or Rearguard, cannot stand at the start of your turn. Giga-paralyze means it's going to be stunned for an extra turn, just like Omega Lock. So, Mega Colony is coming back in the meta with Beauty 14. We've seen those new cards and they're amazing. So I feel that bringing up the Mega Colony terms is pretty damn important. So those are all the terms that I could really find, and what I've asked some people, and like I had to ask some people like for terms that they knew that I might have forgotten, and we got quite a few. So thank you guys for those that contributed, and if there are any more terms that you guys use that I didn't talk about, feel free to leave them in the comments. Don't forget, if you like this new series, leave a like. I'm gonna keep updating every week on a new episode on Road to Worlds 2015, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Sorry for the people that are veterans in the game if this episode was a bit boring, but I feel that it's important to really sort of help the beginners to sort of just get into the game, because I've seen people, like I get people into the game and then they'll be playing for some time but they still don't know some of the terms that I talked about, so I felt that it was pretty important to talk about it, so maybe help you guys as well. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.